Hey Sohail, good to see you again. How you doing?
Hey Akash, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Enjoying the summer. How's your summer going?
Summer's great. I just spent the weekend at Niagara Falls, going over the falls in a barrel. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's great. Good to hear it. Good to hear that you're getting out and seeing some beautiful stuff. Well, look, I was reading about Google's Dear Sydney ad and the backlash, and of course, all the articles also mention Apple's ad, Crush, which got also a bunch of backlash. And it's a big deal. I mean, these are two of the most powerful companies in the world. We know AI is here, and there's a tremendous amount of backlash to these ads. So I was going to ask you, why do you think people reacted so powerfully to these ads?
Akash, it's been fascinating to watch the response from folks, and I think there's a real lesson here for us. I think that these ads get at what is absolutely fundamental about being human, and that is the creative process. The reality is that we want tools like AI to help us, but not to replace us. And I think back to the quote that was doing the round some time ago from science fiction author Joanna Maszewska, and she said, "I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so that I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so that I can do my laundry and dishes." And I think that really captures the essence of what's going on here. Curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's spot on. I love that. I love that quote from Joanna. And to me, it's there's the greater art world, and then there's the world that we live in, right? We do art or we do creativity for commerce, right? We're trying to sell, we're trying to persuade customers, and I think in our world, I do think that there's right now a big sentiment within the creative industry that they may not understand fully how generative AI can support them in their endeavors, how it can make them more productive, and reach new heights, or find new ways to do things. And I think that that's part of the backlash that's happening here. And I agree with you on a human level. We all feel like there's things that we want to do, and we don't want AI to take over. Um, so, I mean, that's to me a really important part of this. But going back to marketing, what can we do? We sort of sit on the cusp of digital and innovation, and we get pulled into a lot of these conversations. As business leaders and marketing leaders, what can we do to help with this?
Yeah, I think it's really helping the clients and organizations we work with to make the most of this technology, even in the creative process. And I think about adoption. What is the best way to drive adoption? And there's a couple of different ways you can think about it, right? You can do it sort of, by mandate from the top down, right? Push it into the organization. And then there's a different way. There's an organic way when potentially have somebody who's working in a group who's excited about something, and they're playing around with it, and they do something cool, and they show it to a colleague of theirs, and then that colleague gets excited, and then the group gets excited, and suddenly you have a group that's using technology or a capability that they hadn't before to be far more productive, far more prolific than they've been in the past. And that's a very organic way. And I believe that in the long term, organic based ways of driving adoption are far more successful than if you are trying to push it down. And that's what I'd be working with my clients on is, how can we sort of create that sort of natural chemical reaction that will then drive adoption in the long term.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And I also think breaking down some of the myths that are out there right now. Will it replace your job as a writer? Will it replace your job as a creative director? And I think if you look at the technology today and you start playing with it, you start to quickly realize that it cannot replace a copywriter. It cannot replace a graphic designer. However, having been in those situations where you're staring at a blank piece of paper and you need to know what to write, now you have a tool in AI that can generate a couple of ideas about what you could write about. You might type in a topic. You might say, I'm thinking this is generally what I'm thinking about. Can you help me expand on this? It's not going to get you 100% of the way there. It probably won't get you 80% of the way there, but it might get you 20% of the way there, and you're no longer staring at a blank page. And I think that sort of training and, like you said, organic embedding and immersion within generative AI tools can really kind of propel things forward. What I want to end on actually is you have an example where this actually happened to you, your work world, and I want to hear about that as a great example to end on.
Well, I'd rather go with the example that we were working on, right? When we were working on together to come up
Yeah,
with a logo for these
sure.
chats. And I said, hey, let's use AI for it. And we used that to generate a few ideas. But then we didn't leave it at that, right? We had to layer on our own thinking, our own sort of take on it to figure out a better way to express ourselves in this context. And I think that at the end of the day created a much better outcome when you started out with AI, but then layered on our own thinking and expertise to create a better product. And we got there a lot faster than we would have if we hadn't used AI, but the end result was better for it. So there you go. That's a good example, I think.
I love it. I love it. All right, AI is not replacing humans anytime soon. So that's our summary. So anyway, thanks a lot, Sohail. Thanks for the time today. Appreciate it.
Talk soon.